Yes, you are on to your favorite program, Democracy on the Rule of Law. With me on the show this evening is Barrister Obiorome. Barrister Obiorome, welcome you to the show this evening.
Thank you very much, and good evening, viewers.
And also with me this evening is Dr. Yemi Omodelebe. But Dr. Yemi, we welcome you to the show.
Thank you, presenter, and viewers and listeners too. I say happy Sunday.
All right. So without further ado, we'll move into the nitty-gritty of today's episode. So first, we'll look at the issue of because we have discussed this issue. You know, we are very vocal when that policy 18-year benchmark for admission into tertiary institutions was said by the former minister, and we had cause to look at it broadly, and now that policy has been revised. So what would be your opinion?
Yes, the reversal of that policy is clearly in tandem with our position. My position then, was and still remains that it is wrong for the federal government to put clock on the progress of Nigerian students, insisting that before a student can enter into university, that student must attain 18 years of age and above. We looked at some other countries and found out that there are countries where students even get their doctorate degrees at very early age. So the aphorism has been catch them young. Let the government assist and encourage students to focus on education at their early age. Of course, we pointed out that if that policy, was allowed to continue, it means that those that finish secondary school at the age of 16 will have to wait for about 2 years, and within that 2 years, they may be conscripted or brought into, activities that are criminal in nature, and that would not be good for the society. It's a good thing that the new minister has. That is saying that policy is a step in the right direction, and I commend that position because it gives life to the rights of the Nigerian child, which we discussed elaborately at that program where we condemn that policy of the former minister. It is good the children, the Nigerian has a right to education and other rights, which now has been made to at least see the light of day.
All right, thank you very much. Dr. Yemi,
yes, I think I'm one of lawyers and Nigerians who came out openly to condemn the initial policy or proposal of the then minister. But the fact that the new minister came in and reviewed it, listened to the yearnings of Nigerian parents, and counseled the idea of 18 years. It's a welcome development, and I say thank you to the man who have done so. And I know that many Nigerians were happy when they had that news. And many universities, whether or whatever, they were also happy about that development. So they may not talk about it because that idea brought, one way or the other, it will reduce crime rate in the society, it will increase the government finances, it will also increase level of educational contribution in Nigeria and globally. Then aside from that, it will make the younger generation to have interest in pursuing their educational career. That is to say, if a child is like 14, 15, middle level, and 15, 16 gains admission, that is a good development. You can't compare it in those days where somebody will be able to get admission when it's 30 or 30 years. That is a misnomer. It's abnormal. But now, with what the minister has done, is good and fine. But I will advise for that in the educational sector, he should put up his thinking tank to address some other problems in the sector, particularly when it comes to the welfare of the lecturers, the payment of their salary and all the rest. He should try to address that because I'm aware that there are a lot of issues in that. Those issues must be keenly addressed so that our educational sector will be an interesting sector, not a discouraging one. That is what we want in this country. And you see, you are in office. Whatever you do there is what people will say about you in the nearest future after you must have left that office. So, Minister, do what people will remember you.
Dr. Yemi, what would you say about the concern raised by people even when that policy was initially brought to light? That, of course, the minister has his reason he implemented why he sought to implement 18-year-old, and he gave one of those reasons was that some of the people who constitute nuisance in the school environment are underage students who are supposed to still be, with the guidance of their parents. So, wouldn't there be an influence of those who are not yet take care of themselves in the university?
You see, let me tell you, I thank God that I pass through a lot of this when it comes to educational level. Now, you see, there are some children who call them children. They are exception. If you come across some of them who are 7-8 years, you will bow to them. I came across a child recently, just 7 years old. All this I gave to that child. She read everything perfectly. That's an example of a gifted child. So when you are talking of gifted child, you cannot say such a child should wait 18 years before he went to university. That is not. Now, the idea or the reasons given by the then minister, well, to him is good, but to majority it is not. And when you project further, you discover that when you want to climb in the society, you look at the young generation, because it's they that will still have the capacity. When somebody is like 50, 60, 70, it is difficult for such a person to involve in what they call armed robbery or kidnapping.
Yeah, but you said that cultism and all that easily influenced.
Just they are easily influenced. But let me tell you, when you want to reduce crime, you need to engage them to make them busy. It is when they are not, people say an idle brain is the devil's workshop. Now, all these children, when they are busy, the business will be focused on. I am not saying that there are no exemptions, but those exemptions, the percentage is very, very minute.
Well, I think otherwise. The proposal of the former minister, which he hinged on the alleged, claim that it is the younger ones universities that don't cause problems, cultism, and all that. When he said it, and in the program, my question to him was, what is the evidence? You don't just come out and make a proposition and a conclusion without telling Nigerians and the entire world the base of that proposition. This is a digital age. Has it carried out a kind of research, a survey in universities in Nigeria? Which universities, how many students? And has it come up with proof that actually in universities it is the younger world that engage in cultism? There's no such. It just wake up one day and tell Nigerians that you are making a stop to entrance of students who are below 18 years because they are usually the ones that cause, without telling Nigerians that you did. In other jurisdictions, in other countries, before they come up with a policy, they'll carry out a research. It might take time, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, and then when they come out with their conclusions, there will be empirical evidence that actually is the result. Of course, in human development, human behavior, there's no certainty because of individual differences. So, in the first place, the platform, the reason why he wanted it done was that he claimed the younger ones cause problem. There is no iota of evidence to support that, and to that extent is hollow, it is baseless, and then unfounded. And we have seen not just in Nigeria but in other countries where younger ones have distinguished themselves. So there is no reason for you to now come and say you want a particular group of persons to be excluded from their pursuit of education. And thirdly, if you try to implement such a policy, it will amount to discrimination on grounds of age. Discrimination. And of course, I recall that some people tried to go to court over that issue. Because if a student that is 16 years has made distinctions in his or her papers and has gained admission, like what happened in the recent past in University of Lagos, the best student was aged about 16 years. I say that child will not be allowed to pursue his or her education because of age. It is discrimination. And of course, we know that the Constitution outlaws discrimination by any guise.
Sure.
Okay, that's so. In other words, you applaud the
yes, it's a policy well taken, commendable, and Nigerians are happy.
Okay. Apart from opening the floodgate for every category of people, of each category to get admission, what would be your advice? Because of course the educational sector have been crying for a lot of reform. Even the curriculum that we are currently using is crying for a reform. You know, so many people have hinted that the educational sector needs to be overhauled in order to make it, compatible with and in line, with the reality of our time. So, what would you have to say, and what would be your advice to the minister concerning, other glaring areas that need, to be reformed?
Yes, I agree that human development, there is no end to advancement and improvement. And in the educational sector, there are areas that minister still needs to look inwards and first ensure that our educational system is overhauled, so that at the end of the day, we have students who don't just have certificates, but who have practical knowledge that can help them to be useful in the society. We will also, try to look at other countries where at early age the young ones are, properly guided as to which area they can go for, and then the educations that are not just certificate based but applicable knowledge and skills. And then let's also look at those things that tend to slow the educational system. One of them, my colleague mentioned, the issue of prompt payment of salaries of lecturers and the teachers in the educational sector, because sometimes strikes, either by ASU or the non-academic staff or other sectors in the tertiary institutions, tend to hinder proper educational pursuit. And then also I expect the minister to look at other countries, look at their curriculum, and then adapt what will make our education system more impactful, more relevant to the Nigeria of today.
All right. Dr. Yemi, what will also be on the same question?
Well, you see, we are in the jet age, so definitely there is a need for structuring, overhauling of our educational sector. So I would advise the minister to look into that area keenly in order to ensure that Nigeria has a place to be placed value and educationally, so that our graduates and the incoming undergraduates will be able to cope with future educational challenges. Because if you look at what we use these days, when you use phone, you discover that after some time the phone becomes a thing of the past. You buy another one. The same thing applies to educational system. When you use a particular curriculum for so number of years, generally that curriculum is supposed to be reviewed in order to cope with changes in the society. So the educational sector is not out of place in that area, and I advise that the minister should ensure that that is done. that will be able to address some challenges in society that will be good and fair to the lecturers and the students, the learners and the learners.
All right.
I just remember something which mentioned in this program in the past concerning the educational sector. I think for the current minister to also seriously consider the issue of admission vis-a-vis the population of Nigerian students seeking admission, the total number of places or positions that can be absorbed, and then take drastic steps that can solve or address that issue. For example, we discover that virtually every year a lot of Nigerian students go for the entrance exam into universities, and the number that are usually offered admission are negligible compared with the number of students that go for these exams. And we discussed that also JAMB has thought to be a money-making venture for the federal government, that every year they declare billions realized from the sale of JAMB forms. And then after some students have taken JAMB exams 4 years, 5 years, some of them now resort to going to neighboring countries seeking for admission in institutions that may turn out to not to have been recognized by
the minister have said that 22,000 certificates were invalidated because of some of this fake universities. And there are some universities in some African countries, neighboring countries, that don't even have proper institutions for proper learning, but because our students are frustrated, they go to those places, and some of them even do programs that take 4 years, 5 years, they do them under few months, issue us certificates and such things. Some of these, I don't support those things, they are wrong. But then let the government look inwards. What are the things that will be done? Of course, if the minister puts on his thinking cap, he will come up with possible solutions. I recall that some years back in Lagos, the number of students were so much and the teachers and schools were not enough. What the then governor of Lagos State, Jakande, did was to build more schools and then introduced 2 sections. Some go for morning section and some go for afternoon session, and that solved the problem. There is need to address that issue. In fact, I kind of declare emergency in that area, so that you will discover that when that is done and some students who ought to be given admission are given admission, then they resort to some of them to vices, social vices, criminality, and yahoo, and those that want to tell the world that education is a scam will stop, at least minimize, because they are saying that because they were not able to get admission, and they did not want to console themselves and say, well, after all, those that have gone to university, have they been able to get employment and all that? So they just need for proper restructuring, proper evaluation, and also addressing the issue of admission, and then of course ensuring that the agency, which is JAMB, is not meant to be a money-making venture. All right. Thank you very much for that beautiful suggestion.